Welcome back to another episode of Unmasking Mum, the podcast with me, your host, Anna Bonasera. Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much. You're here. You're still here. You're listening. This podcast is out into the universe. I am manifesting that I am seeing this project through to the end. So claps for me if I've actually got here. So today I want to talk about probably the thing I am most asked about, and that is, should I or should I not get a diagnosis? And we're going to talk all about the different pathways that we can go. Here it goes. So first of all, should you or should you not get a diagnosis? This is a personal question, and it's a really hard one as well, because it's really dependent on you. I mean, the main factor is what you have to think about. Is it likely that you're going to want to try ADHD medication? If it is, then absolutely you want to go down the pathway of getting a diagnosis. If you're not bothered about ADHD medication and that's not something you want to do, then self-diagnosis is completely valid and you don't necessarily need one. What I will say is that if you're thinking an ADHD diagnosis is going to get you access to therapy and support, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. As soon as you're diagnosed, unless you get added to the medication waitlist, yes, there's another waitlist where I am. It's 18 months for me. Other places it's not as long. If you're thinking that's what you're going to get, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. And you're better off staying tuned, staying here and working together through this. Together, we've got this. We can do it together. But if you do want to go down the diagnosis route because you want the validation, you absolutely should. I went for one, obviously. We were talking about this in the last episode. I have my own diagnosis and it's really validating hearing it from somebody else. There are a couple of things that maybe are stopping you from getting one. Now, one of the things I've had on TikTok has been that all of these adults getting diagnosed are taking away from the children and making the children's waiting list longer. False, that is not the case, because they have completely different teams, completely different psychiatrists, from adults to the kids. So you're not taking away from any children, and you have every single right to know who you are and to get that diagnosis. So the different pathways we've got: GP, right to choose pathway, and then we've got private diagnosis. Private diagnosis, obviously that means you've got to pay. There's a lot of people out there who are doing them right now, but it's expensive and it's costly. So if you're going to go down the private diagnosis route, I would say make sure that they are within the NICE guidelines, NICE. And also, if you do want medication afterwards, be prepared to pay. And if you want your doctor to agree to care, you need to ask them before you pay for the diagnosis. If you pay for a diagnosis and then go to your GP afterwards, they may say, no, we will not have shared care, meaning they will not continue the prescriptions afterwards, and you will have to pay full price for ADHD medication. And it is a lot of money. So that's something to be wary about. If you want to go through the NHS pathway of getting a diagnosis, you literally go to the GP, say what you want to say. I think I've got ADHD. We'll prepare you a bit more than that, I promise. Keep listening. But the short version is you say that, they take you through a few questions. To be fair, I did mine over the phone, so I didn't even have to go into the surgery. It might differ depending where you are in the world, especially if you're outside of England, because it's different, okay? I'm in Oxfordshire, by the way, as well, if you need that reference. And they will take you through a few things. They'll do a little score, and then they'll be like, yeah, okay, we'll put you through to the NHS pathway. Now, in some areas, the NHS pathway has a very long waiting list. In some areas, the NHS pathway is closed because there are so many people on the wait list, which is why I always recommend to go the third option, although it was second in my original list. Right to choose. What is right to choose? It is basically, in a nutshell, the GP's going, or the NHS going, we are overwhelmed with things, so we're going to go and give it out to other people. But it's also a way of you having power over who has your care, who does your diagnosis. And you can actually do right to choose for different things, just putting it out there. If you have other ailments, you can actually say, I actually have the right to choose, and you can go through this third party. You don't have to pay anything. The NHS pays for it, but they have providers that they work alongside. So it's not like you can go, I'm going the right to choose pathway and I'm choosing this one who they have never heard of before. It has to be a partner that they have chosen personally, and there is a list. So how do we know? Who can we choose? I would really suggest going prepared, because if they say to you once you've gone through it, who would you like to be a right to choose provider, and you're like, I don't know, then you're probably going to procrastinate and not actually get the diagnosis done a lot as soon as you can, because you'll be stuck in decision paralysis. So here's what I suggest you would do. This is England. I will put a disclaimer. This is England because Scotland, Wales, and I'm pretty sure Northern Ireland are all different. Please don't quote me on this. If you're in those areas, then please go find some information about it in those areas. I'm sorry, I can't help you. England. We're going to use the ADHD UK website. I know it says UK, but unfortunately it's only in England. I wish it wasn't, my friends, across the borders. I wish it was the same, but it isn't. You're going to go to the ADHD UK website and you're going to look for right to choose. So just type it into Google, ADHD UK, right to choose, and it will come up with a page. Okay. They will then have access to a list of providers, and also providers who do ADHD right to choose pathway for children as well. And there's also autism services as well too. You can go the right to choose pathway for autism as well. And you can then look through all the providers, where they are, whether they do it in person or online. If it's in person, you need to bear this in mind if you're going to choose this provider, because you're going to have to travel to them. If it's online, then obviously that makes it a lot easier. I personally went with Psychiatry UK, and I actually got put with them. I didn't get to choose, which is why I recommend you going in and having a look and choosing. There are new providers that are added all the time, and when it's a new provider, as long as obviously they're a reputable company and the NHS trusts them, they probably will have shorter waiting lists. By the time I was with ADHD UK, I went with Psychiatry UK, the waiting list was 18 months. I was seen within 13 months, so it was really good. I do recommend them. They are brilliant. I don't know what their wait times are like right now. It was really efficient, and it was really great for my ADHD brain, because I constantly got reminders on forms that I had not filled in. So I was able to have those reminders and be able to fill in all the forms, which is something I really struggle with. On the ADHD UK website, there is also a little questionnaire survey formy thing. I can't think of the word. A little mini assessment that you can fill in. You answer the questions, and at the end it gives you a score, and it will say whether you I can't remember what the numbers are off the top of my head. We literally did this the other day. It will give you the number of what it meets the criteria for being put forward for an ADHD assessment. You can then have those results emailed to you, so you then have a copy. So when you go to your GP, I didn't realise everyone didn't have this, but our GP, you can now put a request online, and you can put a request, so rather than ring in, because I absolutely can't stand picking up the phone. I hate booking appointments at the best of times, but picking up the phone is absolutely diabolical to me. Literally, I would rather put needles in my eyes sometimes, or walking in and making an appointment. Is that worse? I don't know. I actually think being on the phone is actually worse than walking in. So you need to make an appointment with your GP, and you basically need to say, I have done the whatever it's called on the website, assessment on the ADHD UK website. I would like to put myself forward for an ADHD assessment. I see that I struggle with this and this. You might want to follow the DSM-5 criteria, which is the diagnostic criteria in England. I don't know if that's in the UK as well, but it's definitely in England. And these are a few things I struggle with, just in case, or have it prepared in case they ask you. And I would like to be put forward for an assessment for right to choose. You don't have to go into that much detail in the first thing, but if you want to, you can. What I'd really recommend doing is, if you struggle to make these appointments like me, either body double, have someone with you while you do it. We have a community called the ADHD Mum Club, which is for people who have bought my Discover Your ADHD workbook. And we have helped a few ladies through that. It's been really lovely to kind of be the support and the cheerleaders that they might need. And then once you have your appointment, you might be able to send in the results first of all. So that would be really helpful. If you can attach them, like I said, we have an online thing and you can attach some documents. That's what I would do. And then they'll ring you, and then they might do their own kind of like questions, which I found really difficult because it was over the phone and I couldn't remember. By the time she got to the end of the sentence, I couldn't remember what the start of the sentence was. I felt like this was a test for ADHD to have their working memory not work. So yeah, they might ask you to go through that, but I would definitely go prepared. Just a few things that you've seen perhaps in adulthood and also in childhood of what you have struggled with and how ADHD resonates with you. Okay. Now, in our ADHD Mum Club, a few of the mums have said that they were met with a GP who was not supportive. And I want to prepare you for this because I want to prepare you to go in confidently and knowing your rights. You have every right to have this diagnosis. If this is what you want, they have to listen to you. They can't tell you that you've coped all this time, so you don't need a diagnosis. They can't tell you that we should wait, it's just your hormones, it's just perimenopause or whatever it is that they're trying to tell you. They have no right. If you have this piece of paper that has the assessment and shows that you should be put forward for one, you have every right. So if they refuse to, I would suggest, I know it's hard, either sticking up to them and saying, no, I appreciate your view, but I would still like to be put forward for this assessment. I have this, it says this is what I would like to do, and I am choosing this provider. Enter provider. If they still refuse, I mean, I'd make a complaint because it's not right. It is not right. But go back and go to a different GP. Request to have a different GP because nobody has the right to tell you what you can and can't do. This is your life, not theirs. They don't know how you struggle. They don't know how you cope. They don't see behind closed doors. You have every right to this. Literally, I'm so passionate about this. If it's something you want to go and get, you have every right. And if you want to call yourself an ADHD and you're self-diagnosed, you also have every right because it's very likely you have done, it's not something you've taken lightly. It's not like you've lost your keys once and you're like, oh, I've got ADHD. Forgot that one appointment. I've got ADHD. You will have done lots and lots of research, wondering, questioning yourself before you come to the point of like, I really think I've got ADHD. So if you want to self-diagnose, then you're absolutely valid. So they're the different pathways that you can go. In England, there are probably different ones in different ways in different countries, or even, different countries. Wales is still a country, Anna. Geography is not my strong point, not one of my special interests, ever. But like I said before, if you think that getting a diagnosis is going to get you access to help and therapy, I'm really sorry it's not. And I wish it did. I really wish it wasn't just about the piece of paper, but it is a piece of paper on the medication. Like I say, I'm still on the medication wait list. They asked me at the end of my assessment, and I said yes, although I can't swallow pills. I said that to her and she was like, that's one of my phobias. There is one type that is liquid, I think, or capsule, I can't remember. So I'm on the waiting list. I'm gonna see, I'm just not sure. I've seen lots of people go through journeys and it is a trial and error with the different types of medication to whether it actually works for you or not. So in the meantime, what I have done is I have had therapy, I have had coaching, and obviously now I coach and I coach myself some days as well. And now that I am aware of my struggles, it is much easier for me to be able to go, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. Okay, I need to stop doing this and start doing this. I need help. I'm getting better at asking for help, and I'm getting better at voicing my struggles and how ADHD shows up for me and how it can be debilitating for me in some ways. And that is probably the most important thing. More important than me having a diagnosis is having the awareness, having the understanding, and being able to put things in place for myself. So, little cheeky plug, if this is something you want to do and you want to discover your ADHD, come and get my workbook. I have a workbook called Discover Your ADHD, and it is all about understanding your brain. We have the DSM-5 criteria in there. There are columns in there so you can say which resonates with you and how it shows up for you, so you really can be really prepared if you're going to put yourself forward for an assessment. There is different executive functions, a complete explanation on each one, how it affects us. And there's also assessments you can do, as well as tips and tricks of how to combat that executive dysfunction. There's so many more things in there. If it's something you want to know more about, then I will leave a link in the notes and you can come and see it. And I know it's a workbook. I'm not promising anything, but what I am promising is that we'll be there for you, because when you buy that, you also get access to the ADHD Mum Club, which is the WhatsApp community I was talking about earlier. So we help each other through it. We like everyday life stuff in the chat, mainly supporting each other, helping each other kind of reset on a Sunday and work through what can we do to help our future selves, holding us accountable. And also once a month we are doing a body doubling session, so we're going through the workbook. So it's not just a beautiful thing that's going to sit on the shelf and collect dust and we're going to forget about. Thank you, object permanence. It is something we're actually going to work through together and get done. We're moving it forward, we're working, we're making progress. That's what we're going to be doing, and we're holding each other accountable. So if that's something you also want to be a part of, then you can find out via the link in the notes. That's it. That's all about Right to Choose pathway. I probably should add about actually what happened to me, shouldn't I? So once I had my assessment in the February, I applied in the January, then February I had my assessment. It was 3 hours online. I was very nervous and I explained everything. She asked all the questions. I did have notes as well, but I didn't really need them. She asked all the right questions. And then at the end, she gave me the diagnosis then and there, which I wasn't at first I wasn't expecting, but I had asked other people how long did it take to get a diagnosis, to get the results, and they said literally at the end. So it was brilliant to not have to have that waiting time, where I've had an autism assessment 8 weeks ago and I'm still waiting to hear back, which is really annoying me. So yes, still waiting to hear what the results of that are. So thank goodness the ADHD one was instant. And I always thought I resonated more with the inattentive side, and I said that to her, and then she was like, why do you only see the inattentive side? Like, obviously the hyperactive side of me was very obvious to her, which was really interesting and made me laugh. But yeah, she was lovely. The experience with Psychiatry UK was brilliant. I can't fault them. I didn't mind waiting the year because I felt like I'd waited all my life, and it was so much shorter than what the NHS waiting list would have been like. So I was happy to wait that time and have that service from them. And now I am on the wait list for the medication, and like I said, that is to be continued. We'll see where we go down with that. So yeah, that is what it's all about. I hope you've had a great time listening all about the Right to Choose pathway. I keep getting notifications on my phone that really distracting me, so I was saying random things. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, please do leave a review, because I've heard they really help us. And I would just be really, really grateful. So thank you so much. Or recommend to other people who also might want to have an ADHD assessment and see if they would like to learn all about the different pathways. Thank you for being here. Come back again. I'd love to be able to share this journey with you for more Unmasking Mum, the podcast. And I will see you very soon. Goodbye.